Hey everyone. We're gonna do something that I usually don't do. We're gonna do a dirty water hair jig. Normally I keep my hair jigs on the smaller side between 3/16, 1/16 in that range. But I do use them in certain places where the water is dirty. 1 foot visibility and a little less. Um, and that's when I'll go up to quarter, 3/8 ounce, because it can be effective if you use the right colors and so on. So let's get started here. And before I start, I should apologize for all these marks on my shirt. I was wearing this when I was painting, so I'm cheap. Rather than throw it away, I'm gonna still wear it. So anyway, we're gonna start with some 210 denier black flat wax nylon thread, and in the vise we have a 1/4 ounce weedless banana jig. And I should show you what this is gonna end up like, something to that effect, but we're gonna do something a little different. So now we got our base thread on. I'm gonna tie this differently. Normally with a 2-color jig you can put your darker color on top and a lighter color on bottom, but I'm going to show you a way what I like to do a lot of times, and that's layer the colors, especially when I'm doing something like this that has 2 dark colors in it. So the first color we're going to put in is purple. I know it looks kind of blue on the video, but it's purple. And I'm going to want this from right here to the bottom of the hook. That's a length, and that's pretty much what I want sticking out the back. And eventually, when you do this enough, you start understanding the proportion where you want it, and it gets to the point you can eyeball it. But to do it in the beginning, just measure it out like that. So now what I'm going to do is, after I got it where I want it, I'm going to trim bucktail. I'm going to start that. Put 3 or 4 wraps on, because I am using a little more hair than what I normally would. And we're going to push it all the way around. And once I'm satisfied we got it where we want it, which I am, I'm going to put a couple tight wraps in there. Okay, there is the first color, and I'll often do that to pull out any loose ones or short ones. Now I'm going to take this UV flash, and the reason I'm using this UV flash is it shows up, it reflects sunlight. So any type of light you get in a dirty water situation, you'll get a little bit of flash from this. I want it to be subtle, and the only flash I use on a jig that I'm going to use in dirty water, on a hair jig that is I'm going to either use black, a UV type flash, or a black red, black blue flash, something like that. But I'm not going to use like the normal flashable or anything. It's just personal preference, but I believe I get better results using just this stuff. The UV, believe it or not, shows up, and even though it's dirtier water, I still like to be subtle. When you're talking cold water, anything that looks unnatural to the fish, they won't eat it. So subtle is the key. So I'll put a little bit extra flash on this than what I normally do. Usually 2 strands on the side is good, sometimes 3, but on this I'll go 4. And like you said, just because it's UV flash, it's very inconspicuous. Now we have that. Now we're going to add our second layer of color, and that's going to be the black bucktail. We're just going to line it up with what we have there at the purple and trim accordingly. I normally recommend hair jigs in clear water, but lately, the last 2 seasons, I've been showing it, you know, where we would use other baits, the dark, really dark hair jigs in a larger, this is where you're going to use your 1/4 ounce, your 5/16, 3/8. This is where you're going to use it in that dark, dingy water, because it's going to move some water. So you want it to be subtle, but at the same time, you need this jig to move water for the fish to find it. So here we got one part of the black. Now we need to put the other part on. And for this, to lower my vise down a little bit, we're going to take our second clip of bucktail here, measure it off what we have, tie it in, and then trim it accordingly. Sounds like a broken record, but that's what tying is. And everyone's unique. You can, when you do it by hand, it's hard to get them exact. You can get them close, but there's always going to be a little difference. And again, I use a lot of hair on these. This is going to be a heavier hair jig than I normally would tie, but it's due to the fact it's going to be fished in dingy water. Last season, we caught fish in 38-degree water that had 14 inches of visibility, just barely a foot. It was remarkable. And it got me thinking, you know, perhaps I was a little too quick to discount hair jigs in dirtier water. I've used them before, but like I said, I always found better presentations. But we started using these larger, dark colored hair jigs, and it worked. It worked exceptionally well, better than what I had hoped. When I seen the water was dirty, I didn't have much hope, because for me it's like a jerkbait, 2 feet of visibility. Well, I got proved that these can be really effective. So this is what we're doing now. Now, once we have this collar built up, our hair's tied in, all it leaves now is whip finish and head cement, and we are done, except for adding the weed guard, which I'll do later on. Yeah, the hook on this is heavier, and I'll go 3 times. Even the collar, everything's heavier on this jig because, again, it's made to move water. You'll hear people talk about less is more when it comes to hair, sparse tied jigs, and that's true for the most part. But in dirty water, you want it to move water and you want it to stick out, and this will do it, and still be fairly subtle because it is hair. It's not like it's a creature bait or anything. It's not going to have a lot of movement. It's just going to sort of be there, and the water's going to give it enough action that you don't have to move it very far. There we go. Make sure to put enough on there to soak in all that thread. And there you have it. Cold water hair jig. As you can see, it's bushy, it's dark, got a little more weight to it. This will work in your colder water. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.